Look out behind you!
When we switch the map to terrain view, it's easier to see just what's going on with the river when it takes these wild, extended turns. You can see the Yangtze has been heading in a general direction of southeast for some time. And then it runs into this mountain. And it's forced to take a hard right. And then again, it runs into another mountain that's around 16,500 feet, and it takes another right. And it goes up, it passes between two relatively high mountains compared to the river. You can see the altitude of the river here, what that is, and these peaks that are hanging straight above the river. It's a fairly dramatic gorge. Up until now, the Upper Yangtze has been kind of gently working its way off of the edge of the Tibetan Plateau, but after being forced out of its path, it begins to drop now a little more steeply. The first significant rapid that we come to is here, where the walls start to get pretty steep on both sides of the river, and the river narrows down substantially, and it drops down this chute in this spot. It's called Three Boat Rapid, and we will stop and take a look at our runs through, both from 2019 and from 1986 when we first came through there.
From here we entered the Dugu section, the stretch of the Jinsha River containing the largest and most difficult whitewater. This stretch is full of stories from the Warren Sino-American expedition and the Chinese teams where they ultimately aborted their trips. We were to face not only the normal Class 5 rapids that caused major problems for all the teams in 1986, but also a brand new obstacle, a giant landslide that had occurred 7 months before our trip and had blocked the Jinsha Jiang with a debris dam that was 230 feet high. We only had cursory beta from news articles about this landslide and had no idea if it was passable in rafts at this point. To tackle some of these problematic rapids, Rocky developed auto-rights, detachable modules that can be strapped to normal rafts or catarafts and help them right in the event of a flip.
Because the landslide make a lake and water come up and also destroy that bridge we met before, and all trees destroy there. They said some place down maybe 20k. water like this. Maybe Kajangsho. Yeah, they tell us be careful. And no place to hike.
No place to hike.
Yeah.
This is Three Boat Rapid Kagangsha. You can see there's a landslide on the left bank. Changed the rapid a bit. Still a class 5.
It doesn't look very familiar to 33 years ago. For one thing, the sides of the rapid are quite starkly different. 33 years ago, there was a rock shoal on the left side that you could walk down the whole way and you could look down into the rapid, and we actually portaged a boat on the left side. That doesn't look very easy today or even possible.
Okay, as is the first biggest rapids we have on the Yangtze River expedition. The rapid exactly is huge.
The two competing Chinese teams met at the Yangtze's first big Class 5 rapid on July 24, 1986, and were dismayed at what they saw. They decided to work together to make it through safely. The teams portaged their rafts, but one slipped away and was never found again. 4 Sichuan team members departed the expedition, hiking out to Kagang village and on to civilization. The Luoyang team had their secret weapon, a capsule capable of holding 4 people that they thought could withstand any tough rapids on the river. With 2 members of each team inside and 1 raft at the bottom to help push the capsule to the side, they successfully made the first descent of Kagang Shoal.
And this is where the first big significant rapid occurs in the Dege section or Bayou section of the river. And this one is a real big class 5. The river kind of narrows down into a real constriction and it just kind of tumbles down. The monks upstream we were talking to just said it's a waterfall. All the groups that came through last time had some problems going through here, but there were boats and people did make it through successfully. And the rapid has changed because about 7 months ago there was a huge landslide about 30k downstream, and that flooded 70 meters up, so maybe 20-30 meters. There was a lake up here, and that precipitated a lot of these other little landslides along the side we've been seeing over the last 20k floating down to here. And when you get down to this rapid now, you see like the whole left side has also kind of landslided, caved in, and that's made it look quite different than what it looks like in the video and photos from previously.
You know, it was probably afternoon when we got here, and we took a look at this 3-boat rapid, and the raft guys decided to portage. Well, we portaged 1 raft, and it was a tremendous amount of work. And so after they got done with that, they decided we're going to tie the 3 remaining rafts together and just run it through, and that's why it's called 3-boat rapid, which worked out pretty well. The big foam pile at the top of the rapid took the 3 boats, smashed them into the rocks on the left side, and popped a tube. And then at the bottom, they kind of washed up onto a rock at an eddy. Wow, what a rapid. So much energy there. You can see my camera position perched on top of this rock in the upper left corner of the image. I was able to scramble up onto that rock from shore. When I looked at the footage from 2019, 33 years later, I was trying to figure out, where's that rock? Could this be it? It took me a while to figure out if this was the same rock or not. And I finally decided that these two rocks were the same. If you look at what I assume is quartz marbling right in front of where I'm crouched down, you can see that same pattern, like a fingerprint or scratches on the fluke of a whale, match exactly. This shows that the river level here in this rapid in 2019 was, what, 10 to 15 feet higher?
We've got good time here. It's still before 5. It's not even 4:30 yet. And I'm going to try taking the cataract through. I'd kind of like to take a kayak, but my roll hasn't been working all that well in the last couple of years, so I'm going to try the cat, see what happens.
But anyway, it looked pretty violent in there, so I still thought it was the best idea to send a ghost boat through it. I told Paul that and he agreed, so Paul didn't go on his right line. Anyway, we sent the first ghost boat through. That was Joe's raft, and I was concerned about getting it at the bottom. It was only Sam and I in kayaks. We were going to try to bulldoze the raft in, or I was going to jump on board and try and row it over. So I thought it might be a lot easier, quicker for me to, when I hopped on board, to get the oars in the water if they were already in the oar mounts and just kind of strapped on. That turned out to be a bad idea, because when the oars were stuck in the oar mounts and you had those blades kind of sticking out a little bit, when the raft came down and it hit the big hull, it flipped around once and then it kind of turned on its side and it was surfing for a while, and one of those oar blades on the right side kind of caught the current and it just snapped the oar. That wasn't the only thing that happened. There was the IK that was on the bottom and the back kind of came down, and below the cooler, maybe pushing the cooler up a lot, and maybe also the oar being strapped onto one of the frame bars. One of the frame bar connectors snapped. So we had a frame bar snapped, the oar that was sticking out snapped, an oar mount pushed down so hard that it bent one of the kayak paddles, and we had one of the spare oars on the side also break. I don't know how that happened exactly. But anyway, we learned our lesson from that one, and on the next boat, nobody wanted to run the boats after seeing that. So we ghost boated the next two, and we just carried the oars down. But when we sent the cataract down, the cataract went down and it hit the pile again. That one just kind of turned it up. It would have flipped over for sure, but the auto-rake kept it upright. And then the third raft sent down kind of went more on a right line, and that hit the pile as well, flipped all the way over, but it didn't really get stuck. And then auto-rake kind of slowly put it back upright at the bottom. So I was glad to see the auto-rights all functioning very well. All the rafts came out upright at the bottom, which was a much easier for us to recover them, bring them over to the side. Nobody had to flip rafts back over. We didn't have as much wet gear. But still, water splashing in all the rafts and stuff. There was a little bit of water that got into a couple little bags and coolers. It wasn't a big deal.